The first few days were harmless, icebreakers, polished interviews, walks in rose gardens, but the house had its own rules. Doors that led to different rooms each morning, mirrors that were just a little too deep, whispering vents, clocks that never chimed the same hour twice. And then, the whispers began. Nina heard her name in her sleep. Soft at first, then louder. Sometimes it was Noah's voice, sometimes it was her own. One night, she found a mirror in her room covered in dust. She wiped it clean. Her reflection blinked a moment too late. The games weren't games. They weren't even part of the show. The producers insisted on romantic challenges, candlelit dinners, group confessionals, late-night scavenger hunts, but every activity twisted into something more sinister. During a trust challenge, one contestant was blindfolded and told to walk forward to find a rose. He never returned. The next morning, his bed was made. His name was erased from the roster. The footage? Deleted. Nina began to remember the motel, the cracked wallpaper, the mirrors that didn't behave, the woman with the black eyes. She whispered to Noah, "This place feels the same." He nodded grimly. I saw her again, in the mirror, Cecilia. One evening, Nina followed a cold draft to a door she hadn't noticed before. A long, narrow hallway led down into the estate's foundations. Molded stone walls, old candle sconces. At the very end, she found it. Horthwaite White. The wallpaper was identical to the motel. Inside were journals, sketches, and portraits. Dozens of mirrors lined the wall, some cracked, some covered. In the center, a table, and on it a thick leather book with Cecilia Horthwaite carved into the spine. Nina opened it and read, "Beauty is control. Fear is devotion. A mirror only shows what you give it." Suddenly, all the candles in the room extinguished at once. She turned, and standing behind her, in the reflection of a mirror that hadn't been there before, was a woman in black lace, smiling, eyeless. That night, Noah stayed in room. They didn't speak much, just held each other. Something was building rising from the bones of the mansion. The cameras had stopped working 2 days ago. Carter Vale didn't mention it. And Melissa had changed. She no longer blinked during conversations. Her voice had taken on a melodic echo, like she was speaking through glass. Her affection for Nina turned icy and obsessive, often watching her with a kind of admiration or hunger. One morning, Melissa whispered to Nina while brushing her hair in the grand bathroom. "She chose you," she said, "but I don't mind. I can share." The house began to groan at night, as if settling into itself. Guests were sleepwalking, vanishing, or fighting unseen things behind locked doors. A producer was found hanging upside down in the atrium, still blinking. When help was called, no one came. The phones didn't work. The gates wouldn't open. The cars were gone. It wasn't a show. It was a ritual. Stay tuned for part 4.